My dad is from Colombia, and my mom is white from the U.S. I guess I don't usually think of myself in those terms, like as a second-generation immigrant. I more think of just as my father as an immigrant. So both of them have higher education. They hold advanced degrees, and I was born and mostly raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. So taking all that into account, I think that I grew up feeling very separate from other sort of immigrant Latino communities, because there are like barely any Colombians in the Bay Area, like compared to other Latino communities. And then also even though Spanish was like technically my first language, I grew up and like now English is my better language, and I speak without an accent and like all of these things that I was never a part of like immigrant community growing up. This program it was started by some school board members, but it wasn't run through the district, and just like funded by philanthropists close to the public school district, that brought kids from my high school, and actually high schools in my district, to elite universities outside of California. And the whole goal of the program was to get us to apply and be accepted and matriculate, and sort of like get us out of California. Like that was that program's vision of what it meant to be successful. Having said all this about my family's like educational privilege, I still went to a public school in California that was not well funded. We didn't really learn how to take notes. It was very like fill out the blanks in the worksheet, or like just like really like kind of like rote memorization stuff, even though we were trying to break out of that. But so it was like not any critical thinking, very little of that. I didn't know how to participate in discussions. It was like something totally weird to me, that the majority of the class would be based in just the students talking. So I felt really unsure of myself in discussion. I thought everyone else was using really fancy words. I didn't realize how much of a big deal all this was until like months later. Maybe until second semester. It's just, and even looking back now, I think I have a better perspective on what that meant, and actually how sort of alienated I felt. And I'm sure other people feel it more starkly, but that's what it was. I was astounded at how many people are not on financial aid here. How many people went to elite private prep schools, or went to public schools that had really good quality education. I think just going to office hours, even if it wasn't to understand the material, which I've felt sometimes that I can't go to office hours and have questions about the material, because I feel like I'm just like so lost that asking for help will kind of expose me. Yes, I can't think of specific instances. I think also a lot of times these things are veiled. Like, I don't know. Kind of. Or maybe are not directed at me, but to me as a part of a group. So, like, in the series of the short-lived Brown Student Union meetings after the Ray Kelly demonstrations and the decision not to divest from coal, someone said, like, well, like, and this was in a meeting that was, like, really hostile, and when people were kind of like a third of the room was interested in totally ignoring what had just happened that same day with the Ray Kelly demonstration and only talking about the coal divestment. And then kind of the group said, like, no, actually we need to talk about why this shift in focus is happening. And someone said, well, I don't think that people of color are leaving the group because they're racist. I think that people of color are leaving the group because they just have too much work to do and they have to work more jobs. All the time for Brown.
Yeah.
This is my life at Brown, is that, like, this is the existence of so many people. And they don't even have to have any immigrant experience. They don't have to, it can be, like, it's just, like, on so many axes, people feel alienated from Brown. And so I don't feel like I belong. I feel like I belong to really specific, like, subsets of Brown, but and I don't really want to claim Brown either. So that's sad, and I maybe it's sad, maybe it's not, but, like, it makes me sad to think that, like, now I spent, like, 4 years of my life, and, like, so it's just, like, so stressful.